Happy to see you again. I missed you guys last week, and I know the lapidary community is always looking forward to this time of the day every Thursday. Again, my name is Lizelle, and I am the customer service and sales manager here at Highland Park Lapidary. I wanted to personally welcome you guys on our 18th Highland Park Interactive webinar. And we wanted to say hello and thank you as well to all our customers and followers that are streaming with us live, both on our Facebook and YouTube channel. Thank you so much for always tuning in. Okay, so let's do a spot check. I see some new faces on this call. We wanted to acknowledge you. So if you are new to this call, please put new on the chat. Chat box can be found at the bottom part of your Zoom. Sherman, yes. All right. Let's welcome the new people on this call. Who are new? Please don't be shy. Don't tell me everybody are OGs.
Tell them how they do how to actually chat. I may not know how.
On the bottom of your Zoom, there's a chat box there. You can click and put new in it so we can welcome you. Oh my God, everybody's OGs.
How many put in the number of webinars that you have watched with us?
Yes, this is our 18th. So how many webinars you have watched? Who got the perfect attendance?
Second, Nora. Great.
Welcome, Nora.
Welcome, Nora.
Dan, we love you. Keep coming.
Thank you, Dan. Wow.
EK.
Yeah.
Paul 17.
Right. Thank you guys so much. And who attended the first and second series for Dichroic glass and rock polishing? Please put me on the chat. It is another attendance check for everybody. Nikki, welcome. Gary, thank you. Steve, Paul, TK, Ira, Mike, thank you. And for those of you that missed our previous series for the Dichroic glass and rock polishing, those are posted on our YouTube channel. The team will be posting the link there. Also, do not forget to subscribe to our channel so you guys get updated with all our useful contents about the lapidary equipment. Guys, this is the place where we share our knowledge, ask your questions, and get tips and tricks all about the lapidary art. And tonight is part 3 of our Dichroic glass and rock polishing series with Bart Nielsen as our guest speaker along with Jan and Sherman. Let's give Bart some love in the chat. He has invested his expertise in this series. Thank you so much, Bart.
Thank you.
And for our Q&A later, you can raise your hand if you have any questions by going to the reaction icon at the bottom part of your Zoom and click raise hand. Or you can always post your questions on the chat. All right, we have a lot of content to cover today, so let's get the ball rolling with our intro video.
All right.
You know what I was thinking? We're watching that intro video. It's like we're inside of one of Bart's pieces.
We are like inside one of his pieces.
I get inside them too. So.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Lizelle. You always open it up great and looking super fashionable. So great to be here again with you, Bart. You over deliver. Like you guys, we have a ton of videos to go through. You're going to learn a ton. Well, one of the things we realized tonight is that this, from what we can see, is the most comprehensive step-by-step process to how to learn to integrate dichroic glass and lapidary. And that's one of the things we want to do when we're doing these webinars, is to give you completely actionable content that you can go home into your studio and you can actually do it. You're not limited in terms of allowing a little bit here. I mean, that's one of the things I said to Bart when we were preparing for the opening up, is this, what he's doing can literally take years from your learning curve. Just like what Erica did when she did the silversmithing, is it compresses time. So as an artist, as a craftsperson, you can spend more time producing satisfying works as opposed to less time fucking around and having mistakes. I mean, you're going to have some, of course, but we're looking to reduce that and to build your confidence so you can really succeed as an artist and a craftsperson. So thank you, Bart. I mean, it's a huge investment in your time.
Yeah. How many videos total did Bart produce?
21. Jan.
21. So all of that content is going to be up on the YouTube channel. And I think, Bart, you're going to have it posted up on your channel as well.
Yes.
Yep.
And I know there's a lot of stuff coming at you as we're doing this, that it's fast, but it's great because we're going to have it up there where you can go back and you can rewatch it and catch all the little details, because there's a whole lot of information that's in these that will help anybody as they're making their first and second and third and probably 10th pieces.
Yeah. So why don't we start with, I have questions from last week that people had. Let's get into the first video and then we'll start picking up questions in between after the first video. So why don't we roll with that first video, unless you want me to pick up some of these questions for last week.
Let's roll a couple of videos and then we'll do some questions.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so I've got these flats cut on these sides and these sides, and I've got to get that in the center. But I've got these flats cut on the sides to where I can join the two together and I'm going to actually add more dichro and glass in between so I can thicken my slab up a bit. And like I say, again, the more color with dichro that you throw into these pieces, the more refraction and color you're going to get. So I need to make the slab wider anyway to fit. And I've got this flat, but the tops aren't flat. I don't know if you can see, the tops aren't flat. And I've got various thicknesses in the slabs, but that doesn't matter. When I get it all glued together, when I get it done, I'll flatten both, just like I flatten this side, I'll flatten the top and make the slab an even thickness on the slab. And then this is going to happen. I was finishing this piece and I dropped it and I shattered this little edge, but that's not going to be a problem for me because you can see the chips on that. That's not going to be a problem because my egg, when I sit, it'll be right in here, and that's going to be cut off as waste, which I don't waste it. I actually take all my pieces and save all my pieces, as much of it as I can, and make other things, earrings, pendants, anything you can make out of them, glue them together again and make a Mod Podge of dichroic glass pieces. That alone right there, you don't have to glue it to stone. You can actually cut that into, just like you do a slab of stone, cut it, polish it into a cab, and you've got a beautiful cab. I do it all the time. And same with this. They can be cut into cabs. You name it, you can do whatever you want to them. Stack them. You can do a stack together. And the more different patterns and colors you get, it's an endless thing. To me, it's fun. I get a kick every time I do a new piece like that. I'm probably not got this on center to the camera, but I get a new idea every time I do something, and it's just a lot of fun. So I'm gonna go glue these two pieces together, and I'll show you that video.
All right, why don't you roll to the next video as well?
One of the things I haven't talked about is how I cut my glass. So this is the Morton glass cutting system. Works very nice. It's the best out there. It's about $100, but it's worth the money. Here we got a piece of this is actually window glass. You can actually, I don't know if you can see, but when you turn it on the side, you get green as opposed to a piece of Starfire glass. When it's on the side, you don't get that green effect. Low Starfire is low iron glass. So piece of window glass, really thin. I use these sometimes on pieces. It's a great piece to practice with. A lot of the pieces that I did when I was starting were made with window glass. You don't have to have Starfire. It just works a lot better. So with that, you can set your piece in there to cut. What's kind of cool about this is your cutter from the flat surface over here to your cutting wheel in the center, that's the same distance it is from the edge. So this is a little gauge here. If you wanted to, you're setting up a glass cut and you want to cut a piece of glass, this distance, that's going to give you the distance from the fence to the edge. So you can make repetitive cuts with this. This one I can probably snap with my fingers like that. And if I wanted to make a square cut, then this is going to turn a 90 and you have a square piece like that. So it works quick and easy. Cut out a lot of pieces. Stained glass people are using it. This is the piece that I'm going to be gluing in between my two sheets of Dichroic glass that I've just cut and polished. So I need this piece here. I need a piece of Dichroic the same size. So I've actually set this up. This should be my width that I need to fit. So that's just fits in there. It's going to be the same size. So that's going to be the size of my Dichroic. Cutting Dichroic. Move my piece out of here. You don't have to use this, but when you're beginning and learning to cut, you can use it. So set that up. This is borosilicate Dichroic, so it's very hard. It's a lot harder than the other glass. Take some good pressure on that. So you can barely see the score on that. Put my shearing pliers on, the running pliers. There's a mark on the running pliers that you get it centered, and you just squeeze and snaps into your pieces. So now, where did I put my piece? Oh, it's right here. And now I've got two pieces to fit together, and that's what I'm going to be gluing in between my two pieces of Dichroic. Let's see. So here's my two pieces of Dichroic that I've been working on. Good flat surface. I got a piece of scrap glass underneath, wax paper, and these pieces will go in here like that, and I'll cut those and glue those together like that. So that will be my pieces in there to glue that together, and that'll make that one continuous slab when I'm done. I'm going to clean these pieces of glass. I'll get it cleaned all up and ready to glue together, and I'll show you the finished product.
All right, let's just take a couple of minutes and handle some of these questions, and we'll get into the gluing, which is going to be in the next part. So actually, Richard asked a question when we were talking about the egg. What do you think? I'm curious what you think you'll sell that egg for what it's once it's done. And pull up that egg just for a moment.
I have it listed for $1,200.
$1,200. Can you show it just right now? I think it's right beside you.
Yeah, it is. I got it right here.
Yeah.
Let's see. There's the camera.
Yeah. Yeah. So $1,200 on that. And you got some recurrence that you're pretty clear that's going to go. That's a gorgeous piece.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And Ron says, what is the brand name for your square? That little plastic square that you're using when you're flat lapping? Where'd you get it?
I got it off of Amazon. Let's see if there's a name on it. I'll look and see. I don't see a name on it anywhere, but Amazon.
Ron, generic plastic square.
Is that Ron Gall?
Yeah.
I can message him that.
There you go, Ron. You're getting the special treatment there. What's the best places to source thick Starfile glass and Dichro? This was a question from last week.
That's a hard one. You have to call all your glass shops around. A lot of your architectural glass is the Starfire, so you have to call around to find it. You have to put some resources. It's expensive, and you'll have to buy a minimum order of at least probably a 3-foot piece. 4 or 5 square feet, 6 square feet, depending on how they have it stocked. You'll have to buy it. I actually have some, and we'll be selling some of it. I also have my friend who I buy my Dichro from. He also has some, and his name is Steven Kazmarek. He's the Dichroic glassman on Instagram, and he has some kits available that actually come with Starfire and the Dichro, so you can actually build several basic cubes to start off with. So he has that up for sale too.
Okay.
So get in touch with him.
Yeah. And then Richard, you were asking a question. Don't you have to have special wiring for 3-phase? I think I answered that. So the flat lap runs on 110 single phase. It's just a normal plugging outlet. What we're doing is the variable frequency drive on there, which actually controls the speed of the Highland Park flat lap, converts it to a 3-phase, so we can turn a 3-phase motor and we can make it variable speed, but we can make it have super high torque. So there's nothing special you need to do with your wiring at all. That's all built into the machine. And then Johnny D, how many different uses does your rotary flat laps have? I know Johnny was asking that question because he's looking at a reciprocal lap versus flat lap. And I think we answered that question when you and I talked yesterday, Johnny. But you want to speak to that a little bit, John, or to Bart, other application areas?
Well, it's great for making flat surfaces. That's the primary thing about the flat lap is it saves me a bunch of time for getting completely flat surfaces so I can actually glue stuff together. It's excellent. And like I say, if you're going to cut agates or you want to cut or polish an agate, you can do that. It's a lot quicker than probably using a rotary lap or a vibratory lap. You can have it done in just a matter of minutes. Cutting an agate with the rotary lap is much quicker than the vibratorial lap.
Right.
Yeah,
now we sell reciprocal lap as well.
The big
John,
difference with the reciprocal lap is you can do large batch sizes. So if you're doing production, like if you're doing production of, a larger quantity of slabs, that the reciprocal allows you to put a big batch up. But if you're doing the kind of pieces like Bart does, or if you're polishing single pieces and you really want to control the process, then the rotary is the way to go.
The big difference is with the
If
reciprocal.
you're doing something like bookends, or if you want to polish a lot of slabs, doing that all by hand is very labor intensive. And one of the advantages of the reciprocal is you can remove the labor from the equation.
So let me say it another way. You just load the machine up, start it, walk away, let it do its business. You don't have to manage it. Whereas a flat lap, you got to hold that piece on there and work that piece, each piece at a time. You can't load it and walk away. So,
Exactly.
all right. Well, let's roll to the next video and we'll get into gluing.
Okay, so I've got my pieces clean here. I've cleaned everything with the denatured alcohol and the cerium oxide that, or not cerium, but the you can use cerium oxide if you want, but I like whiting. So denatured alcohol and whiting and a cerium, you rub it, clean it, wipe it off. Use your air can to blow it clean before you glue it. So everything's all prepped and ready to go. I've got my pieces cut. I'm ready to glue. I've got my pieces. I've got a piece of glass taped to my my piece here, and what that's doing is it's making so when I put my pieces in, that these pieces that I'm gluing will protrude below the bottom. I want that so I don't have to grind as much weight. I'd rather have it protruding through the bottom. So I am ready to, well, another thing, I've got my Starfire and then my Dichro, and I've checked my Dichro side, and the Dichro, this is my Dichro side, the top of here, and what I want to do is I don't want to have the Dichro side against a piece of glass. I want to have my Dichro sandwiched in between, so my Dichro is going to be against this piece of glass's surface here. So that's, like I say, that's ready. I'm going to glue this, and I'm going to show you what I do to glue. Small pieces like this, I run a bead of glue. On there, and I'd like to make sure you get it to the top, because it's going to naturally want to run down. So put that down, and then I take my glass, just the glass piece, slide it up against, work it back and forth, press, and hopefully you get all the bubbles out. Well, yeah, looks like it, but I'll be squeezing it some more. So now I've got my Dichro, it's ready to go in. I put glue on the Dichro again at the top, mostly. Bigger pieces you need to do an X. Bring that in and drop it in place. Sorry, my hand may be in the way. Press that, kind of give it a good press. Then I'll take this piece, put a piece of glue along this edge, top, position it where you want it to be, work it back and forth, good pressure between, back and forth, working the bubbles. If there's any bubbles getting in, they work those bubbles out. Now, if some pieces it's critical you get alignment on this. This one's not critical. I can trying to get it as maximum as possible. I've kind of checked it with my egg. When I sandwich my piece in here, it's going to be fine. So what I will do now is I'm ready for my UV light. Take my UV light, and once you turn on the UV light, it sets. Now this piece I'll put in my light box that I've showed before. because it's not 100% cured. It's set, but it's not 100% cured. And I'll hit it again with, I've got the UV on, you can't tell. So now you can see why, get some crap off of me. You can see why I've held this up. I've got the glass protruding through. So now I just want to go back up on the flat lap and grind it. I'll grind that down, get it flat, get that flat, and I'm going to polish this piece, both sides. I'll polish this side, and then I can turn it over and do this side, get it all flat, and get my slab thickness the same. And I will be adding a couple more pieces of glass to this, top and bottom, before I actually insert it, before it's actually glued to the
Shall we run to the next? Let's run to the next video there, Joanna, because that kind of puts us through it.
Okay, so this is a completed slab that I'm ready to put into the egg. You can see the 4 separate individual slabs that I cut off the original cube. So here's a slab off the cube, here's a slab off the cube, here's a slab off the cube, and here's a slab off the cube. I joined these 2 slabs here and here with this, and then I joined these 2 slabs here and here with this. Once I had those 2 slabs, then I joined those 2 together right here. That's the finished slab. Now I've actually added 2 pieces of glass, actually 3. A clear piece of Starfire on top of the slab, the Dichro right there in the middle, and then a piece of green Dichro in the center, and then another piece of clear Starfire on the bottom. So the green Starfire is mirror, reflects all the colors, but it's translucent green. And the reason I'm putting that on the bottom of the egg is light's going to come in off the edges, and it's going to hit that mirror and bounce back and forth up and down between it and give you the color inside of the egg. Also, the reason I've got a piece of glass on the bottom is my Dichro layer is right at the tip of my fingernail right there. It's sandwiched. Like I say, I've tried to sandwich the Dichro in between 2 pieces of glass. And so you'll actually be able to see this through this layer of glass. You'll be able to see the stone in underneath here with that glass on the bottom. And then I'm not going to do anything on the top. You'll still be able to see through this piece of glass. You'll be able to see the stone on top of the egg. So, and the egg will be, this will be on the top like this. So you'll be able to see through that and see the stone once it's polished. But also, I'm going to be using Hextol on this piece to using Hextol to glue it, because the UV will have a little bit harder time penetrating. It's going to have to penetrate between the 2 slabs and go in to try to cure the glue in the center. It will be difficult. It will work, but I'm going to use Hextol. Hextol will work even better, but the only problem is Hextol takes 4 days to cure. And you have to, when you glue it with Hextol, you have to tape it, secure it with the tape while it allows it to dry. But anyway, that's the next, on to the next step, which will be trimming this piece up to fit the egg and saving my scraps, and then gluing this into the egg with Hextol, and then I will grind the egg and repolish and shape the egg. So that will be it.
That is super trippy. like you're looking at the reflection of the light hitting, bouncing up into the piece, but you're also then got that star file on the bottom that you can see the stones. So you're really accenting both the glass and dichro piece,
Yes.
and bringing it together.
It's one of the biggest things that I take a lot of time is the process of thinking about how the light's going to enter that piece. So I spent a lot of time thinking about how I'm going to do a glue up, and a lot of time, and I don't tell that in the videos, but it's just a thought process. Okay, how's the light going to enter into this piece, and how's it going to bounce around and come out and catch your eye again? So it's a lot of thinking. I mean, that's something you'll learn as you do pieces. That's what I did. I mean, I didn't know that I'd glue a block up and then they cut it and wow, this is cool. Cut it and you get more color coming out of it. You do another cut and you get more color and more fire coming out. So yeah,
you're telling us a lot of that right now, because
yes.
I mean, I wouldn't have even thinking about the optics of that.
Yeah, you have to think about the optics a lot. And in fact, that's probably the optics is a big part of it. Really, it is thinking about the optics.
So for the folks that are on here, like if you're liking this, like put in the chat, like, 10, because this is like, Bart is dropping kind of these secrets of how do you do this, so you don't have to take 3 years of buying glass and throwing away to get where you want to be. That's awesome. One of the questions that I think I saw a question. Oh, Connie, you're saying, did it take a long time to understand light? You're kind of answering the question. Yes, but there's probably some principles.
There's a learning curve. Yeah, you have to. It's a learning curve with everything. It's just like you're doing your first cab on a cab machine. Yeah. It's just a learning curve that you have to learn. You have to do pieces, and once you do a piece, then you learn from that piece and say, "Oh, I can make it better by doing this next step." This egg, I don't know if I'm done with this egg yet or not. I might cut it one more time and throw another. And I find that I've done eggs that way, and I find it even gives it more pop and more color, and just is even more complicated of a piece. But like I say, it's
but then it becomes a $1,800 egg.
Yeah. It becomes more valuable.
Right.
I mean,
so
if I
Connie was asking the question, did you have a lot of failures before you hit success?
No, actually, it was absolutely amazed me is the first piece I glued into the stone is still one of my favorite pieces. Let me grab it real quick. I don't know. This piece right here that is the first piece I ever done in stone, and it wasn't a failure at all. It actually turned out better than it's one of my favorite pieces. My wife's favorite piece too, and it's just it's something that but I experimented with pieces, and I've cut blocks up, but every piece works. You can make every piece of glass work. You just cut it up and polish an edge and put more glass to it. It's not that big a deal. That's something, it's like gluing rocks together, which I haven't tried much. I've done a few pieces where you glue different rocks together, but gluing the glass, you just add more glass and more color and go from there.
Yeah, we're going to actually be doing a whole Intarsia series coming up, which is going to be awesome, guys. Like, we got one of the top people in the country doing Intarsia. I don't know when that's coming up, but be watching for that, because that's gluing. And I bet you he's on here right now watching this dichro and like, how do I bring dichro into Intarsia? That's actually could be cool. I think Bart's internet's kind of in and out a little bit there. A couple other questions. Dana just asked a question. Why did you go with the green mirror versus a black glass, for example?
Well, the reason I like the green because it's translucent for one thing. And it's the glass is not green itself. It's the layers of dichro that are built up that actually cause it to be green. So it's clear glass, but it's the layers of dichro. There's so much of the microscopic elements that are attached to the glass that it becomes mirror. and it reflects. So the glass dichro reflects one color, it transmits another color, and it's transparent with another color. So you're getting 3 to 4 different colors and almost a variety of rainbow colors coming off of the glass, off the dichro.
Hey, Brian Lamont, you just sent me a message. Can you put that in the chat and my team can pick that up and we'll answer that question? Just resend it out to the main chat. I think you just DM me on that. So the question that, so to Connie's thing, like one of the things that I like what you're saying here is that essentially this is somewhat forgiving. Because the glass is going to be, the dichro is so refractive, you can really be a beginner and say, let me just drop it in there. And like in that first piece, it just popped. It wasn't necessarily some big magic, like you had to have it at 38.2 degrees in order to have it work.
No, you don't have to have specific angles. You're not going to see the color if you're looking at it on a horizontal plane. You'll see the lines in the glass. You won't see color until you start tilting that block or that piece just a little bit. Then you'll be able to see the color pop. So you have to think about what, if you're working on a piece and you want to think about what's the face of this piece going to be like, you want to be able to have that dichro almost a 45-degree angle, not 90 degrees, or you're going to get nothing but pure color.
Right.
You want bouncing colors, so reflective colors coming off.
If you think about a faceting of a gemstone, you're not 90 is going to be kind of boring. I mean, if you want those angles that pop in the light and it's bouncing around in there.
Exactly.
Yeah. One of the questions that let's see, we answered Dan's question.
Gary asked a question about accelerating the cure of Hextall with heat.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can accelerate it. 4 days still is the cure time. If you put, and you got to be careful about heat, because you don't want to get it overly hot. Maybe 100, 120 degrees at the most. But you can accelerate your cure to 2 days, 2.5 days, something like that. But still, I wouldn't work that piece until it's had at least 4 days, because if you're working it, you might be able to grind it, but you don't want to polish it until it's actually 100% cure and hardened.
Yeah.
So.
Well, the one thing we found with epoxies like Hextall or Bond Optic, our epoxy, is the when you accelerate the catalyzation process, your UV resistance drops. So your yellowing and UV reactivity goes up.
You know what, Sherman? Not with Bond Optic and Hextall.
Okay.
You accelerate it, you're not going to have any drop.
It's not going to have that effect. Okay.
The big thing, I agree with Bart. One of the things I've seen is that if you don't get the full cure, you're not going to get a great polish on it.
Yeah.
And yeah, Hextall and Bond Optic both are like 100-year clear.
Yeah.
True non-yellowing.
Yeah. Connie had a question. I saw online you can make your glass with a film. Do you know anything about that?
You can buy pieces with film in them. There's actually some people that actually buy the Hextall film and laminate that into glass. I have no clue as to how they do that or what people are doing to do that.
Right.
It's probably very similar to like putting on window tinting, but I don't know when you do that. I don't think the lamination, when you're laminating layers together, I don't know how well it will laminate together, as well as having your dichro that's electroplated onto the glass as opposed to putting a film in.
Right.
You don't know what glue or what bonding agent they use to glue that film in.
Right. Brian was asking a question. So the multiple sandwich layers in your slabs are cut at certain angles. What are those angles? Are they critical, and how do you control them? I think we kind of answered that a little bit, Brian, that you don't want to be 90s, but if you're picking up like some angle, as you said 45, but I assume you could do different
from 22 to 45 degrees in that area. 45 degrees works well to cut your slabs. even compound angles. So if you've got a block glued up, so you got your block layered up on top of each other, and then if you take that block and cut it on a compound angle, so it's 45 degrees this way and 45 a little bit, so it's cutting a diagonal across your block. What I did with this, I find that gives you a really nice effect too when you're doing this.
No, that's cool. That's cool. Johnny is asking, is it possible to use orgonite with Dichro?
I'm not familiar with orgonite.
Now, what the hell is organite?
Yeah, I'm not familiar.
Hey, John, I'm not clear on what you mean by that. Maybe it's just, it could be a spelling. I'm not sure. And then let's see, Brandon, what about curing again after shaping? I'm not quite sure the context of that question.
Curing after shaping. My stuff is completely cured before I even start grinding on it or cutting it.
Right. So you put in that UV light overnight. If it's
Yeah,
UV,
in the UV box, light box, that I call it a light box, but just bathe in it UV light overnight works good. And then the 4-day cure for the Opticon or the Bond Optic.
Yeah. And Gary, to the question on Hextall, Bond Optic, they're all a bit same epoxies. There's not that many epoxies out there. Hextall is a great brand. They've done a great job of producing that brand. It's very well respected in museum restoration. We're using the same epoxy. It's the same resin. We just don't call it Bond Hextall because that's a trademark of, I think his Glassworks may be the key supplier on that.
Hextall is separate company.
Is it? I thought they were the main one. I mean, I saw something a couple of years from them.
Hextall, but I mean, they may sell more than anybody else, but
yeah. I mean, they do good stuff with that. All right, let's roll another video. Oh, we got Brock's got his hand up. Let's pull Brock up. Brock, turn your camera on though. You gotta have your camera on. You're gonna go on.
It's not working very well.
Oh no.
Yeah,
go with your question.
I was just all this time I've been thinking about faceting this type of material, and I don't know if that, I mean, it kind of depends on the refractive index and what angles you're looking at, but are the angles 100%? I mean, you know, when it turns green, or is that a fraction?
That's a great question.
Mm-hmm.
I have faceted some pieces. I actually do faceting myself, and I've actually faceted some what's called X cubes, and that's a cube of glass that's got 4 layers or two. It's got an X in it, and I have faceted it. And if you look at my Instagram, you can actually see it, or it's on my Facebook page. It's actually my background picture of a round brilliant that I cut out of a X cube, which is the Dichro, and you can buy these X cubes online from eBay or places like that. And it's a fascinating thing to play with. That's kind of got me started with playing with the Dichro, is these X cubes.
Yeah, the same angles on round brilliant.
Yes, same angles.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool. Okay.
Yep. So you can just follow any diagram that you've got and that you've got for cutting any stone, and just follow that same diagram cutting your Dichro pieces.
Okay. Thank you.
Cool. Hey, thanks, Brock. Hey, let's roll to the next video, and then we'll pick up some more questions.
Can I get that name off there?
So here's my completed slab. I've marked out where my egg's going to be, and now I'm going to use the trim saw to cut my 3 lines across here. This will be scrap that I can use again once I get the egg cut out. So, and then I'll round these edges off to fit the egg with the cab machine. So here I go, cut. When I cut, always go slow, steady, don't force it, just nice even pressure and slow. So I'm going to stop short. I should have cut this piece first, as I'm thinking. stop short so I can cut this one completely through, then I can come back and trim off this one. The reason I'm doing that is so I don't get saw cut continuing on into this piece here, so I can maximize this piece that's left over. So now I'll take this piece and kind of take it over to my CAD machine and round the edges. And when I round the edges to fit the thing, so I don't have as much. And the reason I'm doing is I won't have as much when I'm gluing it into the egg to interfere with my taping and gluing of the egg. So I try to get it close, but you don't want to have it, you don't want to overgrind it, because then you've got to grind more of the stone away to make the make it fit. And I find that you make it big, grind it down to make it fit. Don't overgrind, because then you're wasting and making the overall product will be a lot smaller. So we'll go to the next video.
Just roll to that next video.
Okay, so now I'm going to grind my glass to fit almost the same size as the piece that I cut out of the egg. So you can see there's some angles on it, and so I'm going to have to match the angles on this. And so I will start grinding it, and when I do it, I have to take the egg and kind of position it where it's going to be. Let's see. It's going to be just like this. And so you can see that I got to kind of grind a little bit of angle on the top, straight down the sides, and then I got to have an angle coming on this direction, kind of this direction here on the front. So I'm going to start grinding it. Now, see what we're coming up with. So when I get it into the egg, that's what we're going to kind of look like, but better. So the next step is for me to take this down and glue it into the egg with Hextol. Glue the piece together, and then we can go from that point.
That's super cool. Let's see where we're at on the videos. We may want to go straight into the gluing. Let's see, gluing the Dichroic. Let's go into the gluing right now, and then we'll come back for questions. Just kind of take us through as far as we go, because we're 7:50.
Okay, so I've taken a lot of time and kind of set up my glue up for using Hextol. I've mixed my Hextol up according to the manufacturer's instructions. Mixed it up. I don't need a lot on this. I mix it up. When I weigh it out, I use my little carat weighing scale, little miniature carat wheel, and I measure it out in carats. You can measure it out in grams, whatever. I measure it out in carats, just so I know. And this is a 3-to-1 mixture ratio. So 1 part of the hardener to 1 part A, 1 part B to 3 parts A on the mixture. So I've got it all mixed up. I've got my pieces marked. I've made marks on my tape to mark this. I've fit it. I spent a lot of time getting this ready to go. So I'm gonna put some Hextol on, and I'm just gonna coat this whole entire surface with Hextol. Just make sure that I get a good contact. All of my glass is clean, the stone's clean, and free from dust and everything. Okay. I even used a little cup to kind of help steady my egg and do that. So now I've got my piece clean, ready to mark. I can touch the edges because they're not being glued. And I lower this down slowly again. You won't be able to see the bubbles underneath. Super slow. Contact on one side. Coming down slowly, and I can see under the egg that I'm getting contact. This gets messy, so you got to have a rag in your in hand, ready to go. And it's slippery. That piece wants to slide and go anywhere it wants to. So what I do is I kind of line up my marks. So I've got tape marks on my tape. Kind of feel, make sure I'm getting it where I need to be. And I line up one point, rotate. So I got that side. Wipe my fingers. My marks are good there. I come up. Marks good there. Sorry about my hands probably being in the way, but I couldn't place the camera in any other location. It's looking pretty good. Lineup is pretty good. I'm checking my fit on the sides. Not bad. And I want to press down again just to make sure bubbles are squeezed out. That should hold it in place. Marks on my tape, pretty good. Okay, now I take and ready to put glue on this surface, and I've actually made marks on the stone too, so I can kind of line. They're hard to see because the stone's black and my marker's black. But anyways, I'm gonna put some epoxy on this piece here. You want to kind of go slow with this because if you go fast, you're incorporating bubbles. I actually, with this, I put it under a little vacuum pump and pull the vacuum to pull the bubbles out because it creates bubbles while mixing. So I've got a good coating on there, no bubbles. If I see a bubble, I kind of work it and try to pull that bubble to the edge. I pick up my stone and I look at my marks. Got a mark here and a mark there. So I'm lining those up with the marks that are on my glass. Again, get my mark, placing the stone down one end, put my finger on, and slowly drop it down, slowly. And then wiggle. Gotta wipe my fingers. Look for my marks on my lineup. Got one here. Gotta turn the egg just a little bit. One there. So about right. There. And I haven't really got that down. Get my marks here. I'm gonna move that over just a little bit. Looking pretty good. And now I'm just going to check for alignment as much as I can. Make sure that my egg I kind of need to work it up. Now I'm going to start tightening my tapes down. I pushed it a little bit too far. It's not an easy situation, but there we go. Right now I'm just feeling between my sides the egg, and it's just kind of hard to see. My bottom shifted a little bit. Okay, that's how you do a glue up. The tape's going to hold it in place. The tape will hold it in place until it's set 4 days from now. 2 days I can come and pull the tape off. It'll be set enough that I can pull the tape off, and then I let it really cure for another 2 days after that. So that's how we glue an egg together.
That is seriously cool. We got 3 more videos, guys. So that was the longest video. We're going to go shorter.
A long time, but that took a long time to adjust. But that I've made some mistakes, and you want to make sure your glue up's done right the first time.
Right. Well, I mean, one thing that's beautiful is you're showing a technique that you have refined and refined and refined. Like until before this, I didn't even think about using tape and how you were going to approach it. So yeah. Super helpful. Put up Bart's stuff so people can follow Bart on this. Put up Bart's social media page. Pop that up there, and then after that, be ready to pop up, because I won't be asking for the other things to pop up. So follow Bart, and there's his Instagram in the chat. Definitely follow him. If you got a phone, you can take your phone, turn on your camera, do the QR code. You all know that post-COVID, everybody likes QR code. So definitely follow him, look at his stuff, give him good reviews. He's doing cool stuff, really, really good stuff. And I'm sure you got things that you got for gifts. If somebody wants a special gift for somebody, you could probably make them something pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Yep. So put up, like we got 2 more videos here. One thing that our request is, if you're liking this and if this is giving you a lot of value, give us a Google review. You go on this link that they're going to put up here, and they'll put it in the thing. Give a Google review on us. Give us 5 stars. Like, these guys are awesome, because that helps us. It helps us in terms of all the search engines, and has people have confidence, because you all who are learning and showing your stuff, like Bart showing his work, we're hoping that, and part of why Bart's taken so much time is he wants one of you to be doing this, or a lot of you that are on the call, using his knowledge to then do your own amazing pieces too. Bart is not in a scarcity mode, like, oh my God, if I show you my technique, it's less for me. We laugh about that because the world is so massive. There is so much money out there. If you're selling stuff, there's no shortage. The shortage is in the mindset. And Bart, you can see, has very much a generous mindset. And of course, that then works for him, So give us a review. 5-star review, and then also subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, subscribe. They're going to put a link in there. You can do the QR code on this thing as well to subscribe, because what that does is, when people subscribe to the channel, YouTube's algorithm promotes that channel more when somebody just a random search, and then people discover things that they might not otherwise discover. When you search now, so much of it is driven by the algorithms and what gets exposed and what getting exposed. So this will certainly help other people discover this and use this to really enhance the quality of their art and their craftsmanship. With that being said, we got questions, but I want to go through these videos, and then we're going to get into questions, because the questions are stacking up here. So we're going to go later tonight. Roll the next video, Joanna.
So here I have the egg that I've glued up. So I've glued the 2 pieces, the glass, the Dichroic piece, into the egg with Hextile, here and here. So that's after I've pulled off the tape, and that's where I'm at till got to start grinding and shaping it. That's where we'll start working on that, and I'll start grinding that, bringing that into shape. I mean, I even have to probably shape a little bit of top and bottom, but starting off with my 80 grit wheel on my cab machine. I do this on cab machine because I feel like I have more control. I could do it on the lap, but with the curved surfaces that I've got with the egg, it works better to me to use the cab machine. So just to say, so I've gone all the way around, and I've got just to grind it down ever so slightly to where I'm starting to touch the stone with the glass. Now keep in mind, this is an egg, and so this is a curved surface across the glass too, so I have to work it according. I'll start working it this way and this way. I'm ready to shift over to my 220. So I'm going to have to reshape my egg, but I'm just kind of, I have to take it and look at it, so I'm going to have to probably grind a little bit more of the stone off here. But you're kind of getting the idea of what it will look like, but it's going to look a lot better once I get to the polish. Okay, so I've spent the last 30-40 minutes getting it to this point. I've got it up to my 280 grit, and spent a lot of time getting it to the shape that I want it. But now the fun, I really love this part, the 600, the 1200, and the 3000. I love that. It just, the color in the glass starts to pop, and it's always fun to get to that point. So I'll run the video for another 4 or 5 minutes, and then I'll show you the final finished product. Now the stone is a little bit softer than the glass, so I've got to be careful about undercutting. So I've got to kind of watch and feel as I'm cutting and polishing here that it's not undercutting. Getting the stone and gonna get it all done to that position. That grit, get the previous scratches out. Kind of feeling for little bit of bumps in the surface. I don't know how they do the mass production of the eggs. I'm sure some of them are done with machines, and some of them people get to the point where they can do them by hand. I took this piece of rough shattuckite and kind of roughed it into an egg that I was going to just leave as an egg, but then I thought, well, I'm going to put some glass in it. So again, I took and cut this piece here out of it so I can put the glass in it. So I don't know if you can see this on the video. I've had a little piece of a chip of stone come off of the egg right here. And I'm going to probably have to go and fill that with some textile and then polish over it, or I could go back and start all over and grind it down, which is probably what I will do when I get this piece completed, but I'm just kind of getting this done so we can have it done for the video. So I'll get it all done to 3,000, and then I will take one more video of me polishing the glass with my bull wheel, polishing the glass with the bull wheel to get that extra fine polish on it. But that's what we're looking at so far, and I love it. So hopefully you guys will like it too. Okay.
All right.
So I've
Keep going. Keep going.
finished polishing this all the way up to 3,000 on my cab machine, and now I'm going to put cerium, do the cerium polish, and I'm just going to try to polish the glass because I got a really good polish on this stone, but I'm going to get a good polish on the glass. So I take my bull wheel and I spray it with water, and I have a little pot of cerium, a little cerium slurry, and I just brush that onto my bull wheel. Now I'm not going to be using any of the middle, but I'm just going to be using this radius right here. So I'm just using the radius of the bull wheel to polish that piece. So with that said, I will put a little cerium on the stone and we'll get started. Again, I'm looking right down between the glass and the bull wheel just to kind of see where I'm at. The reason I'm not trying to get it, it's gonna get the stone a little bit, but I don't want to get the stone as much with the cerium because that'll actually undercut the stone again. I don't want to undercut it, just trying to polish the glass. Again, I could probably do this on the flat lap, but I'm just trying to control, since I've got a curved surface that I'm dealing with here, then I'm just trying to control where I'm actually running the cerium and running the bull wheel. what getting the the little you can see how I kind of jet cleaned the cerium out of the little fractures in the stone. I'll have to go over that and do it again. But and I still have to. I got a couple more spots I'm going to hit, but that's the finished egg. I'll take some better pictures of it. But
dude, that's like the light's coming out of the inside of the egg. It's picking it up, it's bouncing it back out. Is that not cool, people? Like, put that in the chat. Like, wow, like Connie said. That is really, because you're using the lighting, you're really pulling it in, bouncing it back out. Really
Exactly.
unique.
Yep.
Really
exactly. Yeah, it's that's the funnest part of the whole thing is the final polishing, because then you get to see what it's going to look like, and you get to see what the light's doing to it. I get amazed every time I do a piece. I look forward to doing my next one.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we got some questions. Let's go some questions.
Let's go.
One person, I'm sorry, you're cutting in and out a little bit, Bart. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you fine.
Okay.
Can you hear
just
me?
a little bit choppy. Yeah, your internet's choppy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, are you there now? Talk a little bit.
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yep. And then I think John might have froze there momentarily. I don't know. Oh, no, he's there.
I'm not frozen.
So a couple questions. So what's the best, what's the UV length of the light you're using? One of the questions that Tom had.
I use the Convoy C8. I don't know exactly what the wavelength is on that, but that's what I use is a UV C8.
Yep.
Or the Convoy C8.
Yeah. Brandon was asking a little bit about the refractive index, high or low. I think that would depend on the particular stones. I mean, the dichro that you're buying.
It depends. The glass, the UV index, I have no idea on glass. It's just window glass. So the UV index, the dichro is all the same. It's not like comparing it to a piece of for instance, diamond or topaz or anything like that. It's glass.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right. Let's see. So when you're grinding, Kelly had a question. When you're grinding, and you're doing cabbing, are you just moving through? Which grits are you moving through when you're doing the polishing before you went to the bow wheel?
Just like all your normal wheels on a cab machine. So you start at what is it? I don't have them offhand on me. You got it 80. Let's see, 80, 220, 280, 600, and 1200 and 3000 on the cab machine. So that's
pretty
just your
common what you do for Gaggett as well.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Johnny was asking, have you made pyramids or other kinds of shape with a dichro, and how does that turn out?
Here's a start of a pyramid that I'm working on.
Ah, shit, that's cool.
And here's another pyramid that is just all dichro.
Yeah, that's cool. Johnny, you doing that? You could sell it to your customers. I know you could. I know he's thinking that, like, I got to do dichro. Brandon was asking, can you UV on the egg? Can you UV one side for stability and then Hextol the other? Like, you're doing Hextol on both. What's your thinking around that?
You could actually glue that first slab could have been glued down to the bottom half of the egg.
Mhm.
But then, yeah, you would have to use the Hextol to glue, and that would make it an easier process. I think, in my personal opinion, I've actually had the UV separate from the stone. I've
Mhm.
never had Hextol separate from the stone. So
Yeah.
that's just I just feel if I'm spending this much time doing something, I want to make sure that I don't have that separation problem again. I've had that mistake happen a couple times, and I don't want to do it. So I go with the Hextol. I've never had a problem with the Hextol.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. That is really a great epoxy. Connie was asking a couple questions. So the faceting ring on your Facebook page, that's your glass. That's correct, yes?
Yes. Yeah. I did that with an X cube.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's a piece that I've done.
And then Connie, when he was talking about the vacuum, that's actually when he mixes up the Hextol, he puts that under a vacuum to be able to pull bubbles out. Am I correct on that?
Yes. And I actually have a vacuum that I use to use on my stones when I'm curing stones or when I'm stabilizing stones with trying to think of the epoxy that I use on it. But I use that, but I also have what's called it's a brake bleeder vacuum. And I can actually take that brake bleeder vacuum, put my Hextol little cup inside of a mason jar, put a lid on top of it, and I actually take that brake bleeder vacuum that you can buy off of Amazon, really cheap, and just use that and pull a vacuum on that and leave it inside that little mason jar for 20, 30 minutes, and that pulls the bubbles out. So
Yep. No, that's perfect. That's perfect. Let's see. Any other questions here? Connie was just asking about cleaning. I know you're water blasting. We tend to use also when we're getting cerium out, we'll use pressure. Sometimes just to get it out, it actually works a little bit easier, and you're moving just kind of with that sprayer.
I use the stream. I take it to the stream on a spray nozzle, and that jets it out pretty good for me. I don't usually have any problem getting out. You don't want to let it dry. Try not to let your cerium dry. That makes it a lot harder to try to get out. So yeah, use the jet. I've thought about using a water pick or something like that you could get into really fine crevices with a water pick.
Will work.
Yeah, I'm sure John's used water picks.
Do we have many more questions, Sherman?
We do not. So I think we're like close to wrapping up here. Johnny was like, who do you sell the stuff to? I suspect you sell to all kinds of people.
Yeah, everybody.
Mm-hmm. And do you take special orders?
Yes, I have done special orders. I did some special orders for some friends where they actually wanted me to use birthstones and incorporate dichroic glass in birthstones. So I did some garnet. I did some aquamarine with the Hextol with the dichroic glass, and so yeah, I do custom stuff too.
Yeah, we're great. Well, we're gonna wrap up here this evening. Bart, you are just a friggin' rock star. Like you over the top delivered on all these videos and worked your ass off to do that. So for all of us, we can see the step-by-step process. And that's really what we're trying to do with these webinars is give you the tools where you can know exactly how to move forward in terms of doing a piece and have the confidence to tackle new techniques, whether it would be the dichro glass, whether it's a silversmithing, whether it's flint knapping, whether it's cabbing. You think about the range of things we're covering here. We're really working to build a library of resources for craftspeople and artists like yourself who can go to this, be able to be in a community, because it's a big part of our goal is to build a community where you all connect with each other. So it's not like everybody's just doing their own thing in their studios, but you can build relationships here and also find ways of being able to, sell your work if you're doing work commercially. So yes, Michael, these are also up on YouTube. So if you subscribe to our YouTube channel, you will see the videos up there for the past webinars as well. Anything you want to add before we wrap here?
Yeah, I'd just like to thank you guys. Thank Highland Park Lapidary for all your help in these videos and all the staff and everybody that's put the time in for this. I've enjoyed this. It's been a lot of fun. If you guys want to get started into doing the dichro and glass, hit up my friend Stephen Kazmarek, or the Dichroic Glass Man on Instagram. He has kits that you can buy to start doing this stuff. And just, follow me on Facebook. And if you want to message me, I'm always here to answer questions as much as I can to anybody. So follow me on Facebook, Instagram, message me. I'll be glad to answer your questions.
Yeah, thanks. Really. Oop, we just lost you.
I'm still here.
Yeah, your audio just cut out. What was the last thing you just said?
I'm still here, and I just like I say, everybody, thank everybody for this whole thing. It's been fun. Great.
All right. Well, we're gonna close out for tonight. You all have a great evening, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you very much, Bart.
You bet. Thanks.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.